Question from here onwards are from Chapter 3 Waves. Question 17. A student writes down some facts about two transverse waves. Wave 1 has a frequency f and a velocity v. Wave 2 has 4 times the frequency of wave 1 and is traveling at a velocity of 2v. What is the wavelength of wave 2 in terms of f and v? To answer this, you must first know the formula related to wavelength, frequency, and velocity. So the speed of wave is frequency times wavelength. This means that rearranging wavelength, we will get velocity over frequency. We are looking to find wave 2, which is 4 times the frequency. So the value of f here will be 4f and traveling at 2v. That means the velocity here is 2v. Simplifying this, I will get v over 2f. So v over 2f here, the answer is D. Question 18. Straight wave fronts on the surface of a ripple tank approach a gap in a barrier. The diagram shows how the wave fronts change shape as they pass through the gap. What is the name of this effect? This is a diffraction. Propagation is something that you learn in your bio, not related in physics. Reflection is when it hits a surface and the angle of reflection is equal to the angle of incidence. And refraction is when the ray of light moves from one medium to another medium. Question 19. Light travels from air into glass. What is the relationship between the refractive index n of the glass, the angle of incidence I, and the angle of refraction I? Again, you are being tested on the formula. Refractive index is sin I over sin R, so the answer here is C. Next, question 20. Which diagram shows the image correctly formed by a reflection? Remember that for a mirror, the image will be formed on the screen, and both the object and image distances must be equal. The correct illustration here would be D. Question 21. A student passes parallel rays of light through 4 different converging lenses. He measures the distance x and the distance y for each experiment. Which lens has the longest focal length? When drawing images across a lens, the ray that passes through the lens has to go through the focal point on the principal axis. This here is your principal axis, and the ray that goes through the principal axis has to go through the focal point, meaning that this here is your focal point. And focal length is from the center of the lens until the focal point. So this here, your y, is the focal length. So we'll just look for the highest value of y, which is 3.1. So the answer here is B. Don't worry too much about x as it doesn't affect the decision of this question. Question 22. The frequency of the microwaves used in a microwave oven is 2400 MHz. What is the wavelength of these microwaves? The first step is always to identify the formula related to the wavelength and frequency. We know that the frequency is 2400 MHz. Mega is times 10 to the power of 6. And we are looking to find the wavelength. In order to find wavelength given frequency, we are going to require the velocity, because the velocity of a wave is its frequency multiplied by lambda, the wavelength. So to calculate the lambda, we'll rearrange this, giving us v over f. The v here, velocity, is for the speed of microwave. The speed of all electromagnetic wave is equal to the speed of light, which is 3 times 10 to the power of 8 meters per second. So just substitute the value of frequency and velocity into your formula, you will get the value of lambda in meters, which is 0.125. Question 23. Which rule gives typical values for the speed of sound in solid and in gas? Sound needs a medium to travel, which is like solid, liquid, and gases, and it cannot travel in vacuum because there are no molecules present. And for solid particles, they are arranged close to each other. This makes sound to travel the fastest in solid compared to gas. So in our option, we are going to look for speed of solid larger than the speed of sound in gas. So between B and D, the right answer would be D, because the speed of sound in solid is a more accurate value, which is 3000 compared to 30. 30 is too low, so this can't be the speed of sound in solid, even though it is bigger than the speed of sound in gas. From here onwards, the questions are related to Chapter 4, Electricity and Magnetism. Question 24. A hard magnetic material can be used to make a permanent magnet. A soft magnetic material can be used to make a temporary magnet. Which row shows whether iron and steel are hard or soft magnetic materials? The ability to answer this question entirely depends on whether or not you have revised this chapter properly. If you are unfamiliar with a certain concepts in your syllabus, please always refer to your course specification. Make sure you're looking at the right one. This is for exams from 2023 to 2025. Under your chapter for electricity and magnetism, you will see that it is being mentioned here that temporary magnets are made of soft iron, whereas permanent magnets are made of steel. Your course specification can be really handy, so please make sure that you print it out and you can use it as a checklist while doing your revision. So temporary magnets are made of soft iron and permanent magnets are made of hard magnetic material, which is steel. So the answer here is C. Question 25. A power source is connected to a resistor XY. In which directions are the conventional current and the flow of free electrons through the resistor? Current is the flow of charge of particles. So in a circuit, this charge of particles are known as electrons. Electrons are negatively charged, therefore they are attracted to the positive terminal of the circuit. That means the electrons flow in this direction, which is X to Y. However, when electricity was first discovered, electrons was not yet being discovered, so scientists thought that it was the positive charge that was flowing around the circuit in this direction, and we call this the conventional current. So the conventional current is from Y to X. So the answer here is C. Next, question 26. Which unit is used to measure electromotive force? Ampere is used to measure current flow. Joule is to measure energy. Volt is a unit measurement for voltage, which is the potential difference or even the electromotive force. And watt is to measure power. So the answer here is C. Question 27. The graph shows the current voltage characteristics for a filament lamp. Which statement describes how the resistance of the lamp changes as the voltage increases? The relationship between voltage and current can be different for different types of components. For a normal resistor, the current is proportional to the potential difference. However, for a filament lamp, the current increases at a proportionally slower rate than the potential difference. This is because the current causes the filament lamp to heat up, and as the filament lamp gets hot, its resistance increases. And this opposes the current, causing it to increase at a slower rate. So the statement that describes the resistance of this lamp is C. Question 28. In the diagram, rod R is suspended from an insulating thread. When the positively charged rod Q is brought close to rod R moves away from rod Q. Which conclusion can be made from this observation? So when Q is brought closer, it seems that R moved away. We know that alike charges repel each other, opposite charges attract each other. The illustration here tells us that R is being repelled when Q is brought closer. This means that they both must be alike charges. So rod R here must also be positively charged. Question 29. The diagram shows a circuit used to run a DC motor from an AC supply. This is the symbol for alternating current. Alternating current means that the current can flow in both directions. Which graph shows the current in the motor? And we need to see which graph here describes the output. As you can see here, this is a diode. The function of a diode is to allow current to flow in only one direction. So when the current starts to flow in this direction, it goes like this and it goes in this output. Another way of flowing is like this. Okay, now what if the current flows in this direction? It goes here, it can't go here, it can't go here, so it will go here. And another way is it can also go here. So looks like the output here is only in one direction. So the answer cannot be A. B here shows that the current flow is smooth, and it cannot be B because this was an AC current, and for an output to be straight like this, you're going to need a rectifier. And for C, there is no current flow in this period of time, which is not true because we continuously had a flow of current. So the answer here should be D. Question 30. The circuit shown can be completed by inserting component at X over here and at Y here. The completed circuit is a potential divider in which the potential difference across component Y increases when the temperature increases. This means that the potential difference across the component X should decrease. When temperature increases, its resistance increases, causing the potential difference to also increase. However, across component Y, the potential difference decreased, meaning that the resistance decreased. So for the resistance to decrease, even though the temperature has increased, this means that the component X must be a thermistor. A thermistor is a temperature-based resistor. As its temperature increases, the resistance decreases, causing the potential difference to decrease. So which row shows the component X and Y? Component X here is a thermistor. The only option is D. Question 31. A piece of soft iron XY has a coil of wire wound around it. The end pole of a bar magnet is pulled away from end X, which causes an induced current in the coil. Okay, this question is based on Lenz's law. I hope you are familiar with Lenz's law. If you're not, think of this as a toxic relationship. So what's going on is that when I don't want you, you want me. And when you don't want me, I want you. Sounds familiar? When you're pulling away, not wanting me, I'm going to be attracted by you. So I will turn into a south pole trying to attract you. The magnet is now turned around so that the end pole is on the left. It is taken to the other end of the soft iron core and the end pole is pushed towards the end Y. Now that the magnet is being pushed in, coming towards me showing interest, I'm going to be uninterested and repel it away by turning into a north pole at this end. So which statement is correct? The new induced current in the opposite direction causes the soft iron to attract the end pole. No, we learned that now that it's coming towards us, we are no longer attracted. Instead, we want to repel. So the answer is either B or D. B states that the current is in the opposite direction and D states that the current is in the same direction. To identify the direction, we need to apply the right hand grip rule. According to the right hand grip rule, you must remember that your thumb must always point the north pole. And the north pole for the soft iron core is over here. So the thumb has to be pointing in this direction. So this is the current flow. So the current is flowing in this direction, which is similar as how it began. So it is in the same direction. The answer here is D. Question 32. The diagram shows a wire in the magnetic field between two poles of a magnet. The current in the wire repeatedly changes between a constant value in one direction and a constant value in the opposite direction, as shown in the graph. What is the effect on the wire? The effect on the wire meaning that we're looking to find the direction of the force of the wire. We know that the current is flowing in this direction and the magnetic field always goes from north to south, so it is in this direction. According to your left hand Fleming rule, your index finger should be pointing from north to south in this direction like this, and your middle finger is for the flow of current. Since it's going down, it will be directed like this. It will be in this direction, and as you can see, your thumb is pointing out of the page. But if the current is now flowing in the opposite direction, now it will be pointing upwards, causing your thumb to go into the page like this. So this tells us that as the current direction changes, your thumb direction also changes. And your thumb here is the force, so the force will change. So the force on the wire alternates between one direction and the opposite direction, between this direction and this direction, which is opposite. So the answer is A. Question 33. A transformer has N turns on its primary coil and N turns on its secondary coil. The voltage across the primary coil is Vp and voltage across the secondary coil is Vs. What is the relationship between these four quantities? If you refer to your course specification under Chapter 4 of Transformer, you will be given the relationship between the voltage and the number of turns of coil. So the answer here is B. The questions from here onwards will be from Chapter 5. Question 34. A magnesium ion has a double positive charge and a chloride ion has a single negative charge. Which statement is correct? A chlorine atom has a configuration of 287 and it gains an electron to form a chloride ion. So it becomes 288 and this is the formula for chloride ion. So this statement is correct. The answer is A. Question 35. Which row correctly describes an example of a radioactive decay? A radioactive decay is when an unstable nucleus releases alpha, beta, or gamma particles to become stable. So the original nucleus is always unstable. The emission could be either alpha, beta, or gamma, so all these options are correct. Change or no change of an element. For example, if you have an unstable nucleus for a uranium, let's say it decays to release an alpha particle. When it releases an alpha particle, the number of nucleon here is 4, meaning that the total number of nucleon here must be the same as it began, which is 235. And the number of proton must also be equal to how it began. So as you can see here, number of proton is different, number of nucleon is different, meaning that the element must be a different element. So yes, there will be a change of element. The answer is B. Question 36. A radioactive isotope of sodium has a half-life of 15 hours. The table gave data from an experiment to show how the rate of decay of the isotope varies with time. The background count rate has not been subtracted from this data. What is the background radiation count rate? Okay, we know that the half-life is 15 hours. From this data here, we have a total of 30 hours, meaning that from 400 to 115, it has gone through 2 half-lives. So the values here are including the background radiation. If you guys have a less time-consuming way to solve this, you can share in the comment section below. But how I would solve this is by trial and error. So if the background radiation was 12, it means that the initial count rate must be 388. After the first half-life, divided by 2, it must be 194. And after another half-life, divided by 2, it will be 97. And if I add 97 with a background radiation of 12, I would get 109, which is not equal to 115. So the background radiation must not be 12. So we'll repeat this with the background radiation of 15 now and see if we get 115 at the end, which is not 115, so the background radiation cannot be 15. Now let's try if the background radiation was 20, then the initial count rate must be 380. Adding with the background radiation of 20, I will actually get 115. So the background radiation here must be 20. The answer is C. Question 37. What happens in the process of nuclear fusion? In Chapter 5, you will learn about 2 types of nuclear reaction. One is fusion and the other is fission. Nuclear fusion, when 2 atomic nuclei joins together. And fission is when the nucleus of an atom splits into 2 to form daughter nuclei. So nuclear fusion is the nucleus of an atom splitting. The answer is C. The questions from here onwards are from Chapter 6, Space Physics. Question 38. The time taken for the Earth to orbit the Sun is approximately 365 days. The average radius of the Earth's orbit around the Sun is 1.5 times 10 to the power of 8 kilometers. What is the average orbital speed of the Earth? To calculate the average orbital speed, you must know the formula. The radius is already given, which is 1.5 times 10 to the power of 8 kilometers. The orbital speed must be in meters per second, meaning that the radius must be converted in meters. And to do this, you can multiply by 1000. Over the time taken is also already given, which is 365 days. Your answer must be in meters per second, so the time here in days will be changed into second. So 365 days times with 24 hours in 1 day, times with 60 minutes in 1 hour, and 60 seconds in 1 minute. You can put all this value in your calculator and you will get 3 times 10 to the power of 4 meters per second. It's very common for calculation questions in physics to revolve around unit conversion. So make sure you know the SI unit for all the quantities. Question 39. The Sun transfers energy to the Earth through electromagnetic radiation. What are the 2 parts of the electromagnetic spectrum to which most of the energy belongs? Well, as long as you know the theory, you should be able to answer this question. The 2 parts of the spectrum which most energy belongs to is the infrared radiation and visible light. So the answer here is B. And the last question, how does the Sun produce its energy? I have made a video on explaining the life cycle of a star at this stage of the star, which is called the main sequence. And the Sun produces its energy by nuclear fusion, whereby the hydrogen atom will fuse together to form helium. So it's by the fusion of hydrogen atom. The answer here is D. Alright, that's all for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I will be uploading Chemistry Paper 2 for the next video. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe to my channel and share it among your friends. Thank you. Bye bye. Take care.